A surreal Christmas Eve, when spontaneous joy becomes a security threat. On Christmas Eve, December 24, 2025, in Shanghai, someone dressed as Santa Claus handed out peace apples on the street, only to be taken into a police car and brought to a police station to make a formal statement. Meanwhile, around Beijing's Yuchuan mountain area, checkpoints were everywhere, with men in black patrolling back and forth, as if reminding everyone that this country is instinctively nervous about any form of spontaneous joy. As youth unemployment, living off parents, and lying flat continue to spread, every joke and every act of satire begins to resemble a small revolution. More dangerously, pressure from the outside world is tightening as well. The new U.S. National Defense Authorization Act requires the disclosure of wealth clues related to top CCP leaders, essentially dragging the white gloves and hidden beneficiaries into the spotlight. Internal anxiety, external pressure, and the bombing of scam compounds along the Thai-Cambodian border, these fragments, when pieced together, form the same picture. The Chinese Communist Party's sense of security is rapidly shrinking. This was a deeply surreal Christmas Eve. You thought the coldest thing on the street would be the winter wind, but it turned out to be the Santa suit itself. You thought a peace apple was just a festive ritual, yet it became a suspicious, foreign object requiring interrogation. On one side were police cars on Shanghai's Changle Road, on the other were heavily guarded checkpoints near Beijing's Yuchuan mountain. On one side, netizens applauded wildly as news spread about oil tankers smuggling Venezuelan oil fleeing while sending out 75 distress signals. On the other, the United States wrote CCP leaders' wealth directly into legislation, preparing to aim financial knives at the ruling elite. Political commentator Dan Fengchen, a former soldier, sincerely told his former comrades in arms, "Every war launched by the Communist Party has been about preserving the party's survival and the supreme leader's power, not about the people. Therefore, the principle that the party commands the gun is fundamentally wrong." British writer George Orwell once said that in a totalitarian system, every joke is a revolution. In China, jokes are blooming, and so is surveillance. This winter, China's politics feel especially cold. Shanghai's Changle Road, why does a peace apple require a police statement? On December 24, on Changle Road in Shanghai's Huangpu district, a young woman dressed as Santa Claus, accompanied by her dog, handed out peace apples to passers-by. By any normal standard, this should have been one of the city's most ordinary and gentle holiday scenes, strangers nodding at each other, exchanging a bit of sweetness and goodwill. But the plot took a distinctly Chinese-style turn. She was taken away by police on the grounds of wearing bizarre clothing. Even more absurdly, when she arrived at the police station, she found not only herself there, but a whole bunch of Santas lining up to make statements as well. This was neither an anti-terror drill nor a rehearsal for a farce. It was a governing posture. Any unapproved gathering, costume, or emotion can be treated as a risk. If you think this was an isolated incident, you may have forgotten the wave of holiday sensitivity over the past year. From Halloween costumes to street cosplay, Shanghai, Beijing, and other cities have seen people questioned, dispersed, or taken in for interviews. Foreign media have noted that authorities fear festive gatherings could become outlets for youth dissatisfaction. Beijing's Yuchuan mountain, what stands guard is not order, but distrust. At the other end of the country, scenes around Beijing's Yuchuan mountain felt like a cold-toned political metaphor. Men in black, checkpoint after checkpoint, tight security, walking itself seemed to come with the unspoken demand, prove you have no intentions. On the surface, this is called maintaining order. In reality, it reflects extreme sensitivity towards civilian activity. You may remain silent, but not lively. You may pass by, but not gather. You may exist, but you must not look organized. This distrust did not emerge overnight. But as economic decline deepens and social anxiety grows, it has become instinctive. The more insecure the regime feels, the more it fears crowds. The more it fears crowds, the more urgently it tries to suppress emotions in advance. When young people have no way out, stability maintenance becomes the only policy. Seeing Santa Claus taken away on Christmas Eve is only the surface. Beneath it lies a vast social backdrop, fewer opportunities, hardened emotions, and tighter control. As early as 2023, Reuters cited estimates by Peking University Associate Professor Zhang Dandan suggesting that if roughly 16 million non-working youths, those lying flat or living off parents, were included, China's real youth unemployment rate could have reached 46.5%, far higher than official figures. Zhang Xueliang, a professor at Hong Kong University of Science and Technology and Zhejiang University, stated that 70% of college graduates cannot find full-time jobs. These young people have no work and rely on their parents, whose families then become afraid to spend. When families stop consuming, markets grow colder. When markets grow colder, employment worsens. In the end, only two industries remain booming: one is civil service and state-backed job exams, and the other is stability maintenance. This produces an absurd reality: the CCP is increasingly incapable of offering economic solutions, yet increasingly proficient at social control. It may not make your life better, but it can ensure you do not gather together. China enters Orwell's era. Every joke is a small revolution. George Orwell once said that every joke is a small revolution. China is now entering an era where such joke-driven micro-revolutions are blooming everywhere. On December 21, Bloomberg reported that an oil tanker named Bella 1, flying the Panamanian flag, was intercepted by the U.S. military while heading to Venezuela to load oil. This was the third such interception near Venezuelan waters in 2 weeks. Previously, the supertankers Skipper and Centuries were boarded and detained for inspection on December 10 and December 20. On December 15, U.S. Republican Congressman Nat Moran posted on X that China has become a major client and logistical hub for Iran and Venezuela's large-scale sanctions evasion. The detained tanker Skipper used deceptive tracking methods and was linked to CCP-managed vessels, highlighting how these illegal networks operate. According to China's Jimu News, when Bella 1 encountered U.S. interception, it refused to stop, turned toward the open Atlantic, fled while sending out 75 distress signals. While CCP state media angrily condemned U.S. actions, Chinese citizens overwhelmingly cheered. Comments flooded in. Thugs finally ran into the police. So satisfying. Great job. This is what a real great power looks like: bold and accountable. Isn't this the one that panicked and screamed for help 75 times while running? Are you ready? Jokes that terrify the regime. Some netizens shared messages from within the Great Firewall under the title, "Are you ready?" evoking scenes from the movie Let the Bullets Fly, where guns are handed to ordinary people. Video 1, a user posted a photo of numerous firearms with the caption, "Are you ready?" Comments included: "When will they be distributed? I know where they are. People born in the 80s, clean up your homes and assemble. Here we go. Our sons must grow strong, no more cowardice. If everyone's ready, I won't hide either. I've been prepared for a long time, just waiting for Great America and the principal to arrive. A veteran from the 60s wants to join, first take over the airport to prevent escape." Image 2, someone shared civilian clothes, a pair of cloth shoes, and a handgun, saying the outfit was already prepared. Video 3, an old video from 2023 resurfaced, showing people speaking different Chinese dialects but repeating the same line. "If war comes, rest assured, motherland, just give us guns, and not a single real enemy will escape." Ha! Turns out the enemy has been right beside us all along. The real external kill shot, putting CCP leaders' wealth in the sunlight. In public congressional documents, the fiscal year 2026 U.S. National Defense Authorization Act includes a requirement to assess and report on the wealth of CCP leadership and submit the findings to relevant congressional committees. Targets include the CCP General Secretary, Politburo Standing Committee members, all Politburo members, their families, and their white gloves. This covers physical and financial assets they own or control, including domestic and overseas business assets, investments, and financial accounts. The deterrent logic is clear: it locks onto the top power circle and its network. The goal is not persuasion, but hesitation when personal costs become real. Once sanctions or wartime frameworks are activated, asset transparency can quickly turn into freezing, seizure, and legal pursuit. For the CCP, this tactic is more painful than military drills. Military drills scare the public, wealth lists terrify the party itself. Cracks inside the suppression apparatus? The signal of the party commanding the gun is wrong. In mid-December, an open letter to Chinese soldiers circulated on X, containing a brutal core line. "It is wrong for the party to command the gun, the military should belong to the nation." The commentator Dan Fengshan, a retired soldier, argued that the CCP's wars, such as the Korean War, the Sino-Indian War, and the Sino-Vietnamese War, were all launched to preserve CCP rule and the supreme leader's power, not for the people. Ordinary citizens were merely cannon fodder. Therefore, the military must be nationalized rather than serving the Communist Party. This was effectively a direct appeal to the CCP's repression apparatus, aiming at internal erosion of its rule. If the military no longer wishes to underwrite the fear of a single party, the foundation of stability maintenance begins to loosen. With external financial strangulation approaching and internal resentment accumulating, any discussion about where the gun is pointed will be magnified. For Beijing, the most frightening thing is not someone dressing as Santa Claus, but people beginning to ask, who is the gun really held for? Explosions over Poipet, waving the 5-star flag no longer works. The final fragment reads like a parable. On December 22, over Poipet, a major town on the Thai-Cambodian border, smoke filled the sky. In a precision strike by the Thai military. An intensely ironic scene was captured by international media. Chinese scam operators on the rooftops of buildings about to be bombed raised bright 5-star red flags, attempting to use the national flag as a last, protective talisman. The Thai military's missiles and artillery ignored the flags, striking the buildings with precision. As explosions erupted, images of scam gang members fleeing in panic spread online, marking the definitive collapse of Southeast Asia's scam industry, safe haven. A regime's Christmas Eve, only vigilance, no peace. When these fragments are connected, a blunt main thread emerges. Shanghai detaining Santa Claus treats spontaneous joy as a risk. Beijing's checkpoints treat the people as variables. Netizens cheering oil tankers being chased shows the collapse of CCP patriotic indoctrination. Gun memes and jokes about the enemy among us are the kind of public sentiment the CCP fears most and understands best. U.S. legislation targeting wealth puts a knife at the personal interests of the power core. Military letters declaring the party commanding the gun is wrong undermine the dictatorship's foundation. The 5-star flag under Poipet's bombs symbolizes a failed protection umbrella. So on this Christmas Eve, the true protagonist is not celebration, but fear, not blessings, but vigilance. And when fear becomes institutionalized as daily routine, any joke, any costume, any apple can become the spark of a small revolution, because it reminds people of one simple truth. We did not have to live like this.